And you're also working on Rekindle Learning.
Yes.
Tell me all about that.
Sure, Rekindle Learning is my latest business venture. It's all around how we use mobile devices. We use them so much already for social media and your Twitters and your emails and things like that. But I always felt that if learning content could be packaged in a similar way, in small chunks, we might be able to consume learning much more easily on mobile phones. So the idea is that especially after you've been to a class in a schooling environment, or if you've been to a corporate training workshop, there isn't always a mechanism for you to reinforce and consolidate exactly what was presented at that training program. So you might be able to tick a register that you went to class, but you haven't actually demonstrated knowledge has been retained or that you've assimilated it. And by being able to provide a learning application that allows organizations and schools to be able to put on their own local and contextualized content, those learners can be able to reinforce and consolidate the content that they need to be able to transfer at that point in time. And it all operates in sort of a personalized, adaptive manner. So it depends on how you're performing. Everyone can take their own pace. It tracks the stuff you're getting wrong and right so that you can focus on your weakest areas until you've actually gotten to the point where knowledge is retained. And I think that's a learning step that's really, really important, because a lot of sort of education technology initiatives are focused a lot on digitizing content, which is important. We do need more electronic books. We need to put a lot of stuff online. But having access to the material doesn't necessarily deliver the fact that knowledge is retained, and we need to be looking at that learning experience that actually ensures that learning happens.
And is this platform currently running?
Yes, currently running already. We're in pilots already with a couple of major corporations in South Africa, and hoping to do some school pilots later this year. And then we will later on in future years also launch a consumer-facing service where any individual can be able to download a course of material and do it of their own accord. At this point, it's within closed groups such as companies or independent schools.
And I think the most important question is the fact that we're in a country where we have such a major digital divide. I mean, how are you working towards bridging that gap?
Part of being able to put local contextualized content is part of that aspect for me, because I think a lot of the educational content in particular is sort of being brought in from other countries. And while you can say maths is maths, if it doesn't really fit into the specific thing this person needs to do this week, it's very hard to assimilate into your ordinary work or school process. And for me, part of bridging the digital divide is being able to create more local content and ensuring that it actually meets our specific environment and needs. And that's the main aspect I think Rekindle Learning contributes to that on. But in terms of, internet access and mobile devices is still something the whole market needs to still keep pushing. We have a long way to go in that respect, but it's certainly getting better.
And I mean, will this be using like smartphones and obviously tablets and iPhones and that sort of? So how will the schools actually be able to generate, that sort of platform?
There is, it is focused primarily on sort of smarter phones, but I think in general, it's always been difficult or more expensive to develop on the cheaper phones. So then even though you could reach the cheaper phone, then it becomes prohibitively expensive to maintain that application. So it's still a high cost in some senses. What I do think you'll see in the markets, especially because one of the major mobile operators launched a 500 Rand Android phone, we're going to see more of those kind of cheaper smartphone devices coming out into the market. I mean, that's a price point lower than sort of your Blackberries and coming in at the feature phone price level. And when those phones become more mainstream, you'll see a lot more people being able to access smart services on phones. And that's really the way we need to push the market. We need to be providing incentives to provide smarter phones to everyone.
Thank you so much. And what can people expect from you in the future?
I will continue exploring things that have a deep passion and interest for me, particularly how we use technology to solve major socioeconomic problems in various industries. At this point, it's education.
And can I just find out from you, being in a very technological telecommunications industry, which is very male-dominated, do you ever feel intimidated?
Not necessarily. There'll always be things I don't know, and I've accepted that. But what I've found is that there's a lot of room in the industry, and I think in many other business industries, for people who come with a different motivation and intention. And simply for me being able to decide, this is a problem I've seen from high school to now, and I really do believe that mobile phones can address it. And I'm going to try and explore that just because it means something to me, and I want to continue to operate in a space that's authentic to me. And for that to be a motivation, it contrasts a lot of what is happening in the space, and you consequently end up doing very different things. And I think that has given me an advantage or an edge, and I don't try and copy what everyone else in the industry might be doing, because I will certainly never catch up if that's the case. So no, I think when you are most concerned and fearful, it's better to, in fact, dive deeper into your own authenticity.